Welcome to High School Academic Derby, brought to you by the Onslow County Schools. Today we have a match between Richlands and Southwest. Our scorekeeper today will be Alex Kirk. And now let's meet the coaches and players for this match. The Richlands coach is Tiffany Rhodes, and her players for round one will be
Gregory Futrell, sophomore.
Alex Epley, senior.
Nathan Jilton, sophomore.
Madison Franklin, senior.
Southwest is coached by Krista Watts, and these are her players for the first round.
Tristan Gwynn, sophomore.
McKenna Starling, freshman.
Morgan Starling, junior.
Maddox Bulris, junior.
First toss-up players is from literature. Which 2004 novel by Jodi Picoult features two siblings, Anna and Kate, one of whom was born primarily to prolong the life of the other, who was afflicted by cancer? Alex.
My Sister's Keeper.
Correct. For your bonus, complete the title of each novel by the given author. Number 1, Kevin Corbett Eats Blank by P. Hermes. Number 2, Dicey's Blank by Cynthia Voigt. Number 3, Blank Fever by Richard Kimmel Smith. Number 4, My Side of the Blank by Jean Craighead George.
Okay, for 3 we have Scarlet, and for 4 we have Road.
Neither of those is correct, Southwest, any of the 4?
Yes, sir.
The number 1 is Kevin Corbett Eats Flies. Number 2, Dicey's Song. And number 3, Chocolate Fever. Number 4, My Side of the Mountain. History toss-up. Complete the quote made by the ancient sage Plato. Necessity is the mother of blank. Alex.
Knowledge.
Incorrect. Southwest. Invention. Math, it's not a calculation, so I'll only read it one time. With regard to the correct order of operations for arithmetic, what is the meaning of each letter in the following acronym? P-E-M-D-A-S, PEMDAS. Maddox.
Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction.
That's correct. For your bonus, simplify each expression according to the correct order of operations. Number 1, 18 minus 2 times x. Number 2, 3 minus 4 divided by 4 plus 4. Number 3, 13 minus 6 times 4 plus 21 times 3. Number 4, 19 minus 25 plus 4 minus 18 divided by 3. Morgan.
For number 1, we have 18 minus 2x, and for number 2, we have 6.
Number 2 is correct for 2 points. Richlands, 1, 3, or 4?
For 3 we have 52.
That is also correct for 2 points. Number 1 is 6, and number 4 is minus 8. Vocabulary. What Greek word meaning the world or order is the title of a 2014 reboot of a series on science originally hosted by Carl Sagan? It's called Cosmos. Your next bonus deals with mathematics. It is a calculation, so I'll read it twice. What is the probability of rolling an even number on 2 consecutive tosses of a number cube? What is the probability? Nathan?
1/4 or 25%.
1/4 is correct. For For your bonus, solve each problem pertaining to probability. Number 1, the probability of rolling a sum of 2 on a single toss of 2 number cubes. Number 2, the probability of getting ahead on 3 tosses of a dime. Number 4, the probability of drawing a blue marble out of a bag that contains 3 red marbles, 4 blue marbles, and 3 pink marbles. Number 4, the probability of rolling a prime number on a single toss of a number cube. Alex.
For 1, we have 1/36. For 2, we have 1/8. And for 4, we have 1/2.
2 and 4 are correct for 4 points. Southwest, 1 or 3?
For number 1, we have 1/6, and for number 3, we have 2/5.
2/5 is correct for number 3. The answer to number 1 is 1/18. Geography. Located in Asia, this sea is about 25% salt and 9 times saltier than the oceans. Name it. Madison.
The Dead Sea?
Correct. For your bonus, name the geographic feature described. Number 1, the deepest and oldest freshwater lake in the world. Number 2, the highest mountain range on Earth. Number 3, name of the highest mountain peak on Earth. And number 4, the highest mountain peak in Japan. Alex.
For 2, we have the Himalayas. For 3, we have Mount Everest. And for 4, we have Fuji.
2 and 3 are correct for 4 points. Southwest, 1 or 4?
For number 4, we have Kilimanjaro.
Number 1 is Lake Baikal, and number 4 is Mount Fujiyama. Science. What type of ocean tide exhibits the least difference between high tide and low tide? Alex.
An ebb tide.
Incorrect. Southwest? It's called a neap tide. Literature. What collective name is used to designate books such as almanacs, atlases, and encyclopedias that provide a myriad of information on a variety of topics? Maddox.
References?
Right. For your bonus, I will read a definition of a literary form and provide the first letter of the correct response. You identify the form. Number 1, a meditation on life and death. First letter is an E. Number 2, a diary or record of day-to-day events. The first letter, J. Number 3, a Japanese poetic form consisting of 17 syllables. First letter H. Number 4, a lengthy poem describing an historic event. First letter E. Morgan.
For number 2, we have journal, and for number 3, we have haiku.
Those are both correct for 4 points. Richlands, 1 or 4?
For 1, we have epitaph. And for 4, we have epic.
Epic is correct for number 4. The first is elegy. Acronyms. If you are completing an application to attend a summer academy and the application requires that you enclose an SASE, what item should you include? That would be a self-addressed stamped envelope. History toss-up. Name the military unit of 130 ships that was defeated in 1588 in the Straits of Dover by English naval forces. Tristan.
Armada.
That's correct. For your bonus, identify each of the following related to world history. Number 1, the name of the first ship in history to send an SOS by radio signal. Number 2, name the 2 cities that were targets of the atomic bomb during World War II. Number 3, give the name of the first European explorer to visit Alaska. And number 4, according to historical record, name the river that was the first in the world to be contained or controlled in any way by a man-made dam. Morgan.
For number 1, we have Titanic, and for number 2, we have Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Those are both correct for 4 points. Richlands, 3 or 4?
For 3, we have Pierre, and for 4, we have Euphrates.
Number 3 was Vitus Bering, as in the Bering Sea, and number 4, the Nile River. That's the end of round 1. We'll come back with round 2 and our score in just a moment.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
After our first round, the score is Richlands 20, Southwest 18. We have new players to meet for Richlands.
Catherine Conrad, sophomore.
Bailey Biggers, senior.
Dominic Andrus, freshman.
First toss-up deals with astronomy. Provide the common name of the constellation whose scientific name is Lupus. That would be the wolf. Literature. During her lifetime, she published only 2 poems, but following her death, 6 volumes were put into print. Identify this American poet known as the Belle of Amherst. Catherine.
Dickens.
Excuse me?
Dickens.
Incorrect, and I'll read it again for Southwest. During her lifetime, she published only 2 poems, but following her death, 6 volumes were put into print. Identify this American poet known as the Belle of Amherst, whose famous lines include, "Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me," and "If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain." Maddox.
Emily Dickinson.
Dickinson is correct. For your bonus, I will give you the pen name or pseudonym of an author and the first letter of that author's given last name. You provide the real name of the author. Last names only are acceptable. Okay, for number 1, the pen name is O. Henry, and the first letter of his last name begins with his real last name begins with a P. Number 2, Richard Bachman, and we're looking for an author whose last name begins with K. Number 3, Saki, and that last name begins with an M. And number 4, Poor Richard, whose last name, the real author's, begins with an F. Morgan.
For number 1, we have Edgar Allan Poe.
You have to read a little loud, please.
For number 1, we have Edgar Allan Poe.
Any others?
No, sir.
Okay, that's not correct. Richlands, any of the 4?
For 4, we have Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin is correct for number 4. The first one is William Sidney Porter. Number 2, Stephen King. Number 3, H.H. Monroe. Geography. In the United States, much of the food we eat is grown by large corporate businesses, but in other countries, entire communities are completely dependent upon their financial support from agricultural or farming endeavors. What adjective that begins with the letters AG describes these communities? That would be agrarian. Your next toss-up is from music. In playing both piano and guitar, what name is used to designate the playing of 3 or more notes simultaneously? Alex.
Chord.
Chords, correct. For your bonus, identify each term or idea from music. Number 1, the kind of note that gets one beat in 4/4 time. Number 2, the type of note that is neither sharp nor flat. Number 3, when notes are written above or below the staff, what type of line is used? And number 4, the musical term that indicates a gradual increase in loudness. Alex.
Okay, for 1, we have quarter. For 2, we have natural. And for 3, we have crescendo.
For 3?
Or 4, I'm sorry.
All right, 4. 1, 2, and 4 are correct for 6 points. Number 3, Southwest.
For number 3, we have ledger lines.
That's correct as well for 2. Grammar. Give me the 3 principal parts of the verb to rise. Those would be rise, rose, and risen. A math question with one reading because it asks you for terms. Use 2 arithmetic operations in the correct order to complete the wise saying related to converting one unit to another in a math or science problem. When changing a smaller unit to a larger unit, blank. But if you are changing a larger unit into a smaller unit, blank. Bailey.
Multiply, then divide.
Incorrect, Southwest. Morgan.
Divide and then multiply.
Divide, then multiply. For your bonus, perform each metric conversion. Number 1, 2.54 centimeters into millimeters. Number 2, 510 meters into centimeters. Number 3, 1,300 grams into kilograms. Number 4, 944 meters into millimeters. Morgan.
For number 1, we have 25 millimeters. And for number 3, we have 1.3.
1.3 is correct for 2 points. Richlands, 1, 2, or 4?
For 1, we have 25.4 millimeters. For 2, we have 51,000 centimeters. And for 4, we have 944,000 millimeters.
Okay. I'm going to go back on number 1. I'm going to have to check one after the match is over on that, but your answers to all 3 of those were correct. Vice Presidents. Who served as President Bill Clinton's vice president from 1993 to 2001? Al Gore. Geography. Among the continents, which one is surrounded by the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans? Bailey.
Asia.
Incorrect. Southwest? Maddox.
Europe.
Antarctica. Science. A mineral's ability to split evenly along a smooth surface is known by what 8-letter science term? Catherine.
Cleavage.
Cleavage is correct. For your bonus, given a definition, identify each term from earth science. Number 1, the soft layer of the mantle upon which the lithosphere floats. Number 2, the opening in the top of a volcano. Number 3, the upward fold in rock formed by the Earth's compression. Number 4, the characteristic of an earthquake above which the epicenter lies. Alex.
For 1, or for 2, we have crater. For 3, we have fault. And for 4, we have focus.
Focus is correct for number 4. Southwest, 1, 2, or 3?
For number 2, we have vent, and for number 3, we have mountain.
Number 1 is the asthenosphere. Number 2, a caldera. And number 3, anticline. Mythology. In Greek mythology, who was the fire giver? His name means forethought, and he was known as the protector of mankind and lent his name to a 2012 science fiction film. Morgan.
Zeus.
Incorrect. Richlands?
Prometheus.
Prometheus is correct. For your bonus, identify each being from Greek mythology. Number 1, the goddess of the harvest. Number 2, the winged horse. Number 3, the goddess of love. Number 4, the spirit of victory. Alex.
For 1, we have Demeter. For 2, we have Pegasus. For 3, we have Aphrodite. And for 4, we have Nike.
Those are all correct for 10 points. That's the end of round 2. We'll come back with our score in our lightning round right after this.
Why I teach? I teach to inspire, to influence, and to instruct our students for the future. I think that education is one of the biggest investments that a nation can make. It's going to make the biggest difference in how successful we are as a nation, and that is the main reason that I decided to become an educator in order to inspire, influence, and instruct. I was inspired by many of my previous teachers, by my parents. Education has always been an important piece of my life, and that is why I'm here.
After 2 rounds, the score is Richlands 50, Southwest 29. We have new players to meet for both teams, and we'll start with those from Richlands.
Austin Futrell, senior.
May Keeley, senior.
Kier Cox, sophomore.
And for Southwest, we have
April Gower, freshman.
Lisa Urban, sophomore.
in our lightning round, we'll have 2 minutes or 20 questions, whichever come first. All of the answers today will start with the letter R. Ready? Island from which the lost colony vanished. Austin.
Roanoke.
Right. Capital of Virginia. Tristan.
Richmond.
Correct. In The Wizard of Oz, it is made of yellow bricks. Austin.
Road.
Correct. The Blackbird and the title of a poem by Poe. Lisa.
Raven.
Correct. A business where customers order food prepared. Austin.
Restaurant.
Correct. A dried grape. Kira.
A raisin.
That's right. A person who flees his home to escape war or danger. Tristan.
A refuge.
Correct. Say again, please.
A refugee.
Correct. Smallest state of the United States. Austin.
Rhode Island.
That's right. Scale used to measure the strength of Earth.
Richter.
Kira.
Richter.
Okay, but wait till be recognized, please. Corrosion that forms on iron and iron alloys. Austin.
Rust.
That's right. Country whose capital is Moscow. Austin.
Russia.
Correct. Mice, rats, squirrels are all class. Austin.
Rodents.
That's right. An appliance used to keep things cold. May.
Refrigerator.
That's right. The dynamic duo are Batman and Austin.
Robin.
Correct. The 40th U.S. president was Tristan.
Ronald Reagan.
That's correct. Cold-blooded vertebrates with dry, scaly skin. Lisa.
Reptile.
That's right. Igneous, metamorphic. May.
Rocks.
Correct. A parallelogram with 4. Austin.
Rhombus.
That's correct. AM and FM broadcasting. Austin.
Radio.
Correct. The river that separates Texas and Oklahoma. Tristan.
Rio Grande.
Incorrect. That's the Red River. And that's the only one we missed in the round. We're going to add in our lightning round points and come back with the final score in just a moment.
They said I couldn't dream.
called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
And our final score is Richlands 80, Southwest 39. We have another match, this one between White Oak and Dixon, coming up in just a couple of minutes, so please stay with us.
Why I teach is because I love sharing the success with my students, whether it's them learning something new for the first time or a concept that they never thought that they would understand, and also when they get accepted into programs such as governor's school or college or even receiving scholarships. I got into teaching because I had a high school math teacher who inspired me to teach. She was very fair in the way that she did things, and I just loved her class. I loved learning, and it's something that I wanted to be able to share with other students.
And welcome back to High School Academic Derby. Match number 2 today is between Dixon and White Oak. Let's meet the coaches of those teams and their players for the first round. The Dixon coach is Ashley DeMartin, and her players for this round are
Aiden Yanko, sophomore.
Jackson Lee, junior.
Natalie Zanino, freshman.
Alan Patterson, senior.
White Oak is coached by Laura Prince, and her players are
RJ Walsh, sophomore.
Elizabeth Jenkins, senior.
Alexis Laskowski, senior.
Ian Whaley, senior.
Spelling toss-up. In the sentence, "You're the best speller I know," what is the correct spelling of the word your? Ian.
YOU''RE.
Correct. For your bonus, spell the indicated word in each sentence that I read. The first sentence is, "Do you know who's in charge of the dance?" Spell the word whose. Number 2, the principal said, "You must send a note to excuse my absence." Spell principal. Number 3, it's 15 degrees below zero outside. It's. Number 4, they're at the mall shopping just now. Spell there. Alexis.
For number 1, we have WHO''S. For 2, we have PRINCIPAL. For 3, we have IT''S. And for 4, we have THEY''RE.
And those are all correct for 10 points. Literature. This book and its sequels were influenced by Welsh mythology. In it, the Horned King battles a young assistant pig keeper named Taran. Name this young adult fantasy novel by Lloyd Alexander. It's called The Book of Three. Geography. Native to the Australian continent, these dark-skinned inhabitants have been credited with the creation of the musical instrument, the didgeridoo. Jackson.
Aborigines.
Correct. For your bonus, identify each of the following also related to Australia. Number 1, the large rock sacred to the native Australians. Number 2, the island that lies off the southern Australian coast, known for its vast, rugged wilderness areas? Number 3, the Australian city known as the City of Churches. And number 4, the British captain who originally sighted Australia and claimed it for the British. Jackson.
For number 1, we have Ayers Rock. For number 2, we have Tasmania. For number 3, we have Melbourne. And for number 4, we have Cook.
1, 2, and 4 correct for 6 points. Number 3, White Oak?
For number 3, we have Sydney.
Is Adelaide. Your next toss-up deals with U.S. geography. Which U.S. state is bordered by the Mississippi River on its west and Indiana on its east? Ian.
Illinois.
Correct. For your bonus, identify each of the following U.S. states from the description given. Number 1, this state measures 110 miles long by 70 miles wide and is bordered on the south by Long Island. Number 2, this state receives less annual rainfall than any other state. Number 3, this state's highest point is designated by Clingman's Dome in the Great Smoky Mountains. Number 4, this state has the lowest mean elevation. Alexis.
For number 1, we have Connecticut. For number 2, we have Arizona. For 3, we have Tennessee. And for number 4, we have Mississippi.
1 and 3 are correct for 4 points. Dixon, 2 or 4?
For number 2, we have Nevada. And for number 4, we have Florida.
Nevada is correct for number 2. Number 4 is Delaware. Math calculation, 2 readings here. If x and y vary inversely, and x equals 13.5 when y equals 3, what is the value of x when y equals 27? If x and y vary inversely, and x equals 13.5 when y equals 3, what is the value of x when y equals 27? Alexis.
94.5.
Incorrect. Dixon? Anyone? Aiden.
118.5.
1.5. For your next toss-up, this deals with animals. Each February, this rodent makes his prediction. Jackson.
Groundhog.
I need a more specific answer, please. Okay, sorry, I'm going to have to read it from the beginning for White Oak. Each February, this rodent makes his prediction about the weather on Groundhog Day. What is this famous creature's name? Puxatawny Phil. Science. Identify the element on the periodic table whose atomic symbol is Cr. Aiden.
Chromium.
Chromium is correct. For your bonus, for each of the following elements, identify its symbol found on the periodic table of the elements. Number 1, hafnium. Number 2, gold. Number 3, potassium. Number 4, radon. Jackson.
For number 1, we have HA. For number 2, we have AU. For number 3, we have K. And for number 4, we have RA.
2, 3, and 4 correct for 6. White Oak, number 1.
For number 1, we have HF.
HF is correct for 2 points. Grammar. In English grammar, when an omission is made, a writer may choose to make the notation with 3 consecutive dots. By what name is this punctuation? Jackson.
Ellipses.
That's correct. For your bonus, describe the punctuation mark that should be used in each of the following situations. Number 1, at the end of an imperative sentence. Number 2, between two independent clauses not joined by a conjunction. Number 3, to indicate a sudden break in thought. Number 4, to indicate dialogue. Jackson.
For number 1, we have period. For number 2, we have semicolon. For number 3, we have hyphen. For number 4, we have quotation marks.
1, 2, and 4 correct for 6. White Oak, number 3.
For number 3, we have a dash.
Dash is correct for 2. During which decade of the 20th century did the radio broadcast of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds set off panic? Ian.
30s.
That's correct. For your bonus, name the decade of the 20th century during which each of the following events took place. Number 1, Elvis Presley recorded his first song on the Sun Records label. Number 2, riots ravaged Watts in Los Angeles. Number 3, World War I was fought. Number 4, Apple released its first computer for sale. Alexis.
For number 1, we have the 50s. For number 2, we have the 70s. For 3, we have the 10s. And for 4, we have the 80s.
1 and 3 are correct for 4 points. Dixon, 2 or 4?
For number 2, we have the 70s. For number 4, we have the 60s.
If you just reverse those, you'd have it. 1960s for the Watts riots, 1970s Apple's first computer. Literature toss-up. Although published in 1980, this book did not hit the big screen until 1995. Identify the title of this novel by Lynn Reed Banks that centers on a young man named Omri and a gift he receives. Aiden.
The Little Chief.
Incorrect. White Oak. The Indian in the Cupboard. End of round 1. We'll come back with a score in round 2 right after this.
Why I teach? I teach because of the light bulb effect. It's when the student finally makes that electrical connection in their brain with the information and they light up with excitement over the field of science. My classroom builds virtual web pages which end up turning into their individual interactive notebooks. And I see every day those students are just lighting up with excitement. And my goal this year is to make many minds light up with excitement, just like this light bulb, and illuminate the whole campus of White Oak High School.
We have a very close and high-scoring match going here with a score White Oak 29, Dixon 26. And we have new players to meet for both teams. We'll start with Dixon.
Alex Gartman, junior.
Nick Sanders, sophomore.
And for White Oak?
Victoria Yarmy, junior.
First toss-up deals with science. If you are suffering from cephalgia, C-E-P-H-A-L-G-I-A, what ailment is bothering you? You've got a headache. Computers. A picture on a computer screen which represents a specific file, directory, window, option, or program that is activated by clicking on it is designated by what 4-letter noun? Ian.
Icon.
Correct. Identify each idea related to computers and or the internet. Number 1, the name for computer applications such as Google, Bing, and Yahoo. Number 2, meaning of the acronym CPU as it refers to a computer. Number 3, the key used in combination with each letter key to create uppercase letters. Number 4, the URL that begins with an E and most likely indicates an educational organization's website address. Alexis.
For number 1, we have search engines. For number 2, we have central processing unit. For 3, we have shift. And for 4, we have .edu.
Correct, for all of those for 10 points. Math calculation, I'll read it twice for you. Find the sum of the measures of one angle of a regular quadrilateral and the total number of vertices in a heptagon. Find the sum of the measures of one angle of a regular quadrilateral and the total number of vertices in a heptagon. Natalie.
90 degrees and 6.
Incorrect. And White Oak, you want to try it? Alexis.
360 degrees and 14.
It would be 97. 90 would be the number of degrees or the measures, and 7 would be the number of vertices. Your next toss-up deals with science. Which cellular process yields energy without using oxygen? This process is most easily observed in foods when sugar is converted to carbon dioxide and alcohol by yeast. Victoria.
Fermentation.
That's correct. For your bonus, identify each term from the field of science. Number 1, the name given to organisms of the same species that live in the same area. Number 2, the term that describes an animal that captures and eats its prey. Number 3, the part of the soil composed of decaying matter and dead organisms. Number 4, the gas used by plants in photosynthesis. Alexis.
For number 1, we have population. For 2, we have predator. For 3, we have humus. And for number 4, we have carbon dioxide.
Those are all correct for 10 points. Math toss-up, but it's just one reading. No calculation here. In an isosceles triangle, what name is given to the angle formed by the two legs? Nick.
Congruent.
Incorrect. White Oak. Victoria.
Obtuse.
It's the vertex angle. Geography. If you were visiting Asuncion, in which landlocked South American country adjacent to Argentina, Brazil, and Bolivia would you be? Alexis.
Peru.
Incorrect. Dixon. Jackson.
Ecuador.
Paraguay. History. This American entrepreneur was the first person to create an assembly line for manufacturing. Ian.
Henry Ford.
Correct. For your bonus, identify the inventor associated with each idea or object described. Number 1, the scientist who created the process to heat milk in order to destroy harmful bacteria. Number 2, the inventor who gave us the telephone. Number 3, inventor whose nickname was the Wizard of Menlo Park. Number 4, name any one of the 3 American scientists who developed the transistor in 1947. Alexis.
For number 1, we have Pasteur. For number 2, we have Bell. For 3, we have Edison. And for 4, we have Tesla.
1, 2, and 3 are correct for 6. Dixon, number 4.
We do not have it.
Either Bardeen, Shockley, or Bataan would be accepted. Syntax. In the sentence, why do you assign so much homework? Which word is the direct object? Jackson.
You.
Incorrect. White Oak. Alexis.
Homework.
Homework. I will read a sentence. You are to answer the grammar or usage question related to that sentence. Number 1, the sentence is, the ball was hit by Samantha. What voice is used in this sentence? Number 2, using the blowtorch made the job much easier. Which type of verbal functions as the subject of that sentence? Number 3, identify the subject complement in the following sentence. The top algebra student for the term is Jackie. And number 4, state the part of speech demonstrated by the word finishing in this sentence. Finishing first isn't always best. Alexis.
For number 1, we have third person. For number 2, we have using. For 3, we have top algebra student in Jackie. And for number 4, we have isn't.
None of those is correct, Dixon. Any of the 4?
For number 3, we have student. For number 4, we have gerund.
No. The answer to number 1, the voice is passive voice. Number 2, the verbal is a gerund, that's the subject. Number 3, the subject complement is Jackie. Number 4, part of speech for the word finishing is a noun. I would also have accepted the subject of the sentence. Literature. Although she began her writing career using the male pen name of A.M. Barnard, this American author eventually began to use her own name as she became a voice for women's movements and civil rights. Name this author of Little Women. Alex.
Alcott.
Correct. For your bonus, given the pen name or pseudonym of an author, you provide the real name. Last names only are acceptable unless otherwise indicated. Number 1, Dr. Seuss. Number 2, Currer Bell, and here I will need both a first and a last name. Number 3, Mark Twain. Number 4, J.D. Robb. Jackson.
We have none of them.
Okay. White Oak?
For number 1, we have Gieselman. For number 3, we have Samuel Clemens.
3 is correct for 2 points. Number 1 is just Theodore Geisel. Number 2 is Charlotte Bronte. And number 4 is Nora Roberts. Music. Buried in a pauper's grave in Vienna, Austria, which now famous composer died at the age of only 35, probably from complications of rheumatic fever. His well-known works include Don Giovanni, The Marriage of Figaro, and The Magic Flute. Ian.
Amadeus Mozart.
Correct. For your bonus, identify the composer of each of the following musical creations. The first letter of each composer's last name will be provided. Number 1, that letter is R, and the work is William Tell Overture. Number 2, the letter is H, The Messiah. Number 3, the letter is C, Appalachian Spring. And for number 4, the letter is B, Lullaby is the work. Alexis.
For number 1, we have Rubel. For number 2, we have Handel. For 3, we have Copeland. And for 4, we have Beethoven.
2 and 3 are correct for 4 points. Dixon, 1 or 4?
For 4, we have Bach.
Number 4 is Brahms. And number 1 is Rossini. Okay, that's the end of a round. We'll come back with our score in just a moment.
All right, you ready for some baseball trivia?
Let's do it.
What year produced the most no-hit games in the big leagues?
7 no-hitters in 1990.
Wow, that's right. Now a question that's not trivial. How many children will witness bullying this year?
Huh.
The answer? 3 out of 4.
75%?
That's
Wow.
right. How many of them will say something?
Kids want to help, but don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov.
After 2 rounds, the score is White Oak 71, Dixon 28. As you know, the lightning round consists of 2 minutes or 20 questions, whichever come first, and all of today's answers will relate either to snack food or candy. So, I hope you're hungry and ready to answer. Bubblegum named like a weapon. Jackson.
Bazooka.
Correct. The candy bar whose trade name is a synonym for cipher or naught. The chewy cinnamon candy named for a Mexican dish wrapped in a corn husk. Alexis.
Hot tamale.
Correct. The maker of peppermint patties. Ian.
York.
Correct. The chocolate company at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, they make great brownie mixes too. Jackson.
Hershey.
Incorrect. The largest chocolate manufacturer in the U.S. Jackson.
Hershey.
Correct. Name of the cartoon spokesman for Planters. Ian.
Mr. Peanut.
Correct. The former biscuit company that makes Oreos. Alexis.
Nabisco.
Correct. The chewing gum maker with the Chicago baseball field named Aiden.
Wrigley.
Correct. Pre-baked toaster pastries by Kellogg's. Jackson.
Strudel.
Incorrect. Top-selling cheese puff in the United States. Aiden.
Cheeto.
Right. Candy whose popularity skyrocketed after it was featured in E.T. Ian.
Reese's Pieces.
Correct. The candy bar whose name means sly or partly stifled laughs. Alexis.
Snickers.
Right. Name of the most popular type or flavor of cookie. Ian.
Chocolate chip.
That's correct. This cracker is alluding to a grand, lavishly styled Parisian hotel. Round, chocolate-covered graham with a marshmallow center. Ian.
Moon pie.
That's right. Confection made by spinning sugar and adding color. Ian.
Cotton candy.
Correct. This candy is stretched and folded many times before Victoria.
Taffy.
Correct. Candy consisting of small rounds of mint filling inside a dark chocolate frosting. A candy bar named for a novel by Alexander Dumas. Elizabeth.
Three Musketeers.
Correct. All right, the only ones we didn't get, the candy bar whose trade name is a synonym for cipher is the Zero Bar. Giardelli is a brownie maker and chocolate company at Fisherman's Wharf. Pop-Tarts are the toaster pastries by Kellogg's. The Ritz is the kind of cracker that alludes to a very fancy hotel. And Junior Mints are the ones that have a little bit of mint inside a dark chocolate covering. We'll come back with a final score right after this.
Son, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Our final score is White Oak 97, Dixon 36. Please stay with us because in just a couple of minutes, White Oak will be back for its season-ending match against Swansboro.
Why career and technical education? Career and technical education gives high school students a head start on preparing for college and their careers. Onslow County Schools offers 3 technology towers that provide students with unique experiences in small learning communities. Southwest High School's new shop facilities provide the core foundation of the Advanced Automotive and Transportation Technology Tower. Students who are interested in automobiles, motorcycles, and other types of engine repair and design have hands-on training working with the latest tools and technology in the industry and can earn valuable certifications in the process that will make them job ready by graduation. Jacksonville High School is home to the Advanced Construction Technology Tower. Courses offered include carpentry, blueprint reading, and electrical trades. In fact, the newly expanded electrical trade shop allows students to develop skills that construction industries require when hiring. As demand increases for workers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-based careers, Northside High School rises to the occasion with the Advanced Applied Technologies Tower. Courses such as alternative energy, architectural design, biotechnology, digital electronics, and robotics provide students the opportunity to delve deep into engineering and technology issues and provide real-world working experiences. Students, while still in high school, can acquire technology skills, making them knowledgeable and competent even before they complete a more formal education in these fields. The technology towers are not the only thing great about CTE. In fact, CTE students have higher graduation rates and college enrollment rates than non-CTE students. So why CTE? Why not CTE? Career and technology education, not just a head start, but education that works for Onslow County students.
Why I teach. I got into teaching to make a difference in my students' lives. It's also my passion. I believe that when students enter my classroom, it's my job to make sure that they have an advocate here at Dixon High School. I think that when students come into a classroom and they know they can be themselves, it makes them better scholars. I also think it's great that I get to geek out every day and teach history. It's really great when both careers and passions come together.
Welcome back to High School Academic Derby, brought to you by the Onslow County Schools. In our final match today, Swansboro will take on White Oak. Let's meet the coaches and their players. The Swansboro coach is Julie White. Her players for this round will be
Aaron Wooten, junior.
Katie Collins, junior.
Lacey Miglio, sophomore. Christina Stair, sophomore.
White Oak is coached by Laura Prince, and these are her players for round one.
Victoria Yarmy, junior.
Elizabeth Jenkins, senior.
Alexis Laskowski, senior.
Ian Whaley, senior.
Your first toss-up deals with U.S. history. A few dates stand out in history amidst all the others. Everyone knows the significance of the year 1492. In American history, what is the significance of the date December 7th, 1940? Ian?
It was the date that the U.S. was attacked by Japan at Pearl Harbor.
Correct. For your bonus, identify the year that each of these significant events took place in the world. Number 1, the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Number 2, the Berlin Wall was torn down. Number 3, John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Number 4, Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Alexis.
For number 1, we have 1945. For number 2, we have 1992. For number 3, we have 1963. And for number 4, we have 1969.
1, 3, and 4 correct for 6 points. Number 2, Swansboro?
We have number 1982.
1989 is the answer. Science toss-up. This type of bone injury can include both hairline and compound. Katie?
Fracture?
Correct. For your bonus, I will describe the common name of a bone or group of bones. You give the scientific name. Number 1, 2 names of the bones in the lower arm. Number 2, the breastbone. Number 3, the cheekbone. Number 4, the bones of the toes. Okay, Katie?
For number 1, we have humerus. For number 2, we have sternum. For number 3, we have nothing. And for number 4, we have phalanges.
2 and 4 correct for 4 points. White Oak, 1 or 3?
We have nothing.
The number 1, the two bones are the radius and the ulna. Number 3, the zygoma. Geography. Name the largest city of the state whose 6th largest city is Fayetteville and whose 2nd largest in
Charlotte.
Correct. For your bonus, given the 2nd largest city in a state, name that state's capital. Number 1, Fort Smith. Number 2, St. Louis. Number 3, New Haven. Number 4, Grand Rapids. Alexis.
For number 3, we have Springfield. For 4, we have Huron.
Neither of those is correct. Swansboro, any of the 4?
For number 1, we have Little Rock. For number 2, we have Jefferson City. And for number 4, we have Jackson.
1 and 2 for 4 points. Number 3 is Hartford, and number 4 is Lansing. English grammar. In the sentence, there were 3 gray kittens cowering under our porch this morning, what is the simple subject? Katie.
Kittens?
Correct. For your bonus, identify the simple subject or subjects in each sentence. Number 1, a piece of pepperoni pizza would satisfy my hunger. Number 2, team pennants and rock posters covered Kate's wall. Number 3, please give me a bite. Number 4, neither the quality nor the prices have changed. Katie.
For number 1, we have pizza. For number 2, we have pennants and posters. For number 3, we have me. And for number 4, we have quality and prices.
2 and 4 correct for 4 points. 1 or 3, White Oak?
For 3, we have bite.
Number 1 is peace, and number 3 is the understood subject of you. Mathematics terminology, so just one reading here. In math, what kind of triple numbers, such as 3, 4, and 5, always guarantee that the triangle formed will be in?
A right triangle.
That's incorrect, and I'll read it from the beginning for Swansboro. In mathematics, what kind of triple numbers, such as 3, 4, and 5, always guarantee that the triangle formed will be a right triangle? The answer is a Pythagorean triple. Science. Within the cell are various structures that perform specific functions to maintain cellular activity. What name collectively describes, Katie?
Organelles.
Correct. For your bonus, identify each cellular organelle based on the given description or definition. Number 1, the powerhouse of the cell. Number 2, the maze of passageways that transport proteins and other materials throughout the cell. Number 3, small round structures in the cell that break down larger particles into smaller ones. And number 4, water-filled sac inside the cell that acts as a storage area. Katie.
For number 1, we have mitochondria. For number 2, we have the endoplasmic reticulum. For number 3, we have ribosomes. And for number 4, we have vacuole.
1, 2, and 4 correct for 6. Number 3, White Oak?
For 3, we have lysosomes.
Lysosomes is correct. History toss-up. To date, the states have ratified 27 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. What does the 27th Amendment address? Pay raises for Congress. Literature. What form of poetry has 14 lines in a rhythm of iambic pentameter? Katie.
Sonnet.
Correct. For your bonus, name the authors of the following novels. Number 1, Here Lies the Librarian. Number 2, Black Beauty. Number 3, Charlotte's Web. Number 4, Sounder. Katie.
For number 3, we have E.B. White.
That's correct for 2. White Oak, 1, 2, or 4?
For 2, we have Stockwell.
Number 1 is Richard Peck. Number 2, Anna Sewell. Number 4, William Armstrong. History toss-up. A picture of President Andrew Jackson can be found on which bill among U.S. currency? Katie.
20.
Correct. For your bonus, identify the person whose picture or likeness is found on each coin or bill. Number 1, the penny. Number 2, the $10 bill. Number 3, the dime. And number 4, the $50 bill. Katie.
For number 1, we have Lincoln. For number 2, we have Hamilton. For number 4, we have Grant.
Those are correct for 6. Number 3, White Oak.
For number 3, we have Kennedy.
That's Franklin Roosevelt. Vocabulary. In a dictionary or encyclopedia, 2 words are positioned at the top of each page. By what name are these words known that indicate the range of words or information on a page? They're called the guide words. Science. Identify the unit of electrical current that is equivalent to a steady current produced by 1 volt applied across a resistance of 1 ohm. The correct answer begins with the letter A. Katie.
Amp or ampere.
Correct. For your bonus, identify each of the following associated with electricity and magnetism. Number 1, the type of electrochemical cell in which the electrolyte is a paste. Number 2, the material through which electrons move freely, forming an electric current. Number 3, a device that uses an electromagnet to detect small amounts of current. And number 4, the material through which the charges of an electric current are not able to move. Katie.
For number 1, we have dry cell. For number 2, we have gas. For number 3, we have sonar. And for number 4, we have solid.
Number 1 is correct for 2. White Oak, 2, 3, or 4?
For number 2, we have conductor. For 3, we have multimeter. And 4, we have insulator.
2 and 4 for 4 points. Number 3 is a galvanometer. That's the end of the round. We'll come back with our score right after this.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
After the first round, the score is Swansboro 41, White Oak 16. We start our second round with a toss-up from history. Serving under President George Washington, this man was the first to hold the title Secretary of the Treasury. Katie.
Alexander Hamilton.
That's right. For your bonus, identify each of the following associated with U.S. history and government. Number 1, the name of the opponents of the U.S. Constitution who feared a strong central government would endanger Federalists' individual liberties. Number 2, The refusal to purchase a certain company or country's products is called what? Number 3, name the system that gives each of the 3 branches of U.S. government a method of limiting the powers of the other 2. Number 4, what verb, meaning to go door to door as a method of handing out campaign information in order to solicit votes? Name that verb. Katie.
For number 1, we have anti-federalist. For number 2, we have embargo. And for number 3, we have checks and balances.
1 and 3 are correct for 4 points. White Oak, 2 or 4?
For 2, we have boycott, and for 4, we have canvassing.
That's correct as well for 4 points. Literature. A Kansas farmer named Jacob, whose wife has died, tries for a mail-order bride and ends up marrying its title character, a girl from Maine who becomes very homesick at first. Give the title of this Newbery-winning novel by Patricia McLaughlin. Christina.
Sarah Poinenthal?
Correct. For your bonus, name the authors who created each of the following fictional settings. Number 1, Narnia. Number 2, Oz. Number 3, Neverland. Number 4, Wonderland. Katie.
For number 1, we have C.S. Lewis. For number 2, we have Frank Barr. For number 4, we have Lewis Carroll.
Those are all correct for 6 points. Number 3, White Oak.
For 3, we have Barry.
Barry is also correct for 2 points. Science. Its A variety is bright green, while its B variety is yellow-green because its chemistry makes it absorb a slightly different wavelength of light. Name this biological substance that absorbs the sunlight needed by plants in Katie.
Chlorophyll?
Chlorophyll is right. For your bonus, give the following terms from ecology. Number 1, an animal that eats meat, like a lion. Number 2, the native environment of a species. Number 3, adjective for a system that can keep itself going for the foreseeable future. Number 4, any substance that an organism must eat in order to survive. And Katie?
For number 1, we have carnivore. For number 2, we have habitat. For number 3, we have perpetual. And for number 4, we have need.
1 and 2 are correct for 4, White Oak.
For
3 or 4?
Oh, for 3, we have closed system, and 4, we have food chain.
Number 3 is sustainable, and number 4 is a nutrient. Social studies. They have been reaffirmed by the Supreme Court as mandatory after a 1966 court decision overturned their namesake's conviction in Arizona. Ian.
Miranda rights.
Correct. For your bonus, give the names of some of the ships used by the explorer Ferdinand Magellan on his first voyage in 1519 from other occurrences of those same names. So for number 1, it's also the capital of Chile. Number 2, it is also a Caribbean island near Venezuela, paired in a republic with Tobago. Number 3, it also names a province of mainland Australia that is closest to the island of Tasmania. And number 4, it is the home to the famous Alamo. Alexis.
For number 1, we have May. For 2, we have Columbus. For 3, we have New Zealand. And for 4, we have Texas.
You need a more specific answer than Texas.
San Antonio.
Correct, for 2 points. Okay, Swansboro, 1, 2, or 3?
For number 1, we have Santiago.
That is correct for 2, and the other answers were Trinidad and Victoria. Math calculation, so I'll be reading it twice. If you solve the equation x squared minus x minus 56 equals 0 by using the quadratic formula, at some point you'll get the quantity a plus or minus b all over 2. What is the integer value of b in this case? If you solve the equation, x squared minus x minus 56 equals 0. Alexis?
-1.
Nope, and I'll continue the second reading. There's no penalty there, though. By using the quadratic formula, at some point you'll get the quantity a plus or minus b all over 2. What is the integer value of b in this case? And the answer is 15. Literature toss-up. The 2008 Nobel Prize in Literature was won by J.M.G. Leclisio, whose home country is the same as his fellow Nobel winners André Gide, Henri Bergson, and Albert Camus. What is that country? Elizabeth?
France.
Right. For your bonus, answer the following questions about the novel The Scarlet Letter. Number 1, name the American author who wrote it. Number 2, of the characters in the novel, name the minister who is the father of Hester Prynne's child. And number 3, give the first name of Hester's daughter. And number 4, what widow and local witch is also the sister of Governor Bellingham? Alexis?
For number 1, we have Hawthorne, and for 3, we have Mary.
Number 1 is correct for 2 points. Swansboro, 2, 3, or 4.
We do not have them.
The characters are Reverend Arthur Dimsdale, Pearl, and Mistress Hibbins. Science. Name the chemical element that makes up about half the mass of cyanide, almost all of the mass in ammonia, and about 78% of the air we breathe. Aaron?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen is right. For your bonus, name the zodiac constellation whose brightest star is, and of course that'll be a different answer for each one. Number 1, Spica, or Spica, S-P-I-C-A. Number 2, Aldebaran. Number 3, Regulus. And number 4, Antares. Katie?
For number 1, we have Aries. For number 2, we have Taurus. For number 3, we have Virgo. And for number 4, we have Sagittarius.
Number 2 is correct for 2 points. 1, 3, or 4, White Oak?
For number 1, we have Gemini. For 3, we have Aries. And for 4, we have Aries.
Number 1 is Virgo. Number 3 is Leo. Number 4 is Scorpio. Social studies. It now appears he was pushed into action by Abraham Lincoln's announcement that he planned to grant full U.S. citizenship to blacks. Name this actor who went to Ford's Theater in Washington. Christina?
John Wilkes Booth.
Correct. For your bonus, I'll name a South American country. You name the nation that owned it the longest before it received independence. Number 1, Suriname. Number 2, Guyana, G-U-Y-A-N-A. Number 3, Brazil. Number 4, Uruguay. Katie?
For number 1, we have Spain. For number 2, we have France. For number 3, we have Portugal. And for number 4, we have Spain.
3 and 4 correct for 4 points. White Oak, 1 or 2?
For 2, we have Spain, and for 1, we have Great Britain.
I can't hear you.
Oh, for number 1, we have Great Britain.
Number 1 is either the Holland or the Netherlands, and number 2, Great Britain. And that's the end of round 2. We'll come back with the score in the lightning round right after this.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
And after 2 rounds, the score is Swansboro 73, White Oak 30. We have one new player to meet for White Oak.
RJ Walsh, sophomore.
The lightning round, as you know, will be 2 minutes long or 20 questions, whichever comes first. The common factor that links all of the answers today is that they have something to do either with gold, silver, or bronze. You might want to jot those 3 down: gold, silver, or bronze. Ready? The fairy tale character with long hair trapped in a flower. Katie.
Rapunzel.
Correct. A character from Treasure Island. Christina.
Long John Silver.
That's right. Title for a bronze sculpture in deep meditation sculpted by Rodin. Elizabeth.
The Thinker.
That's right. The unit used in measuring the amount of pure gold in an alloy. Katie.
Carat.
Correct. The Alaskan city nicknamed Golden Heart of the North. Katie.
Juneau.
Incorrect. Bronze is an alloy that consists mostly of what? Katie.
Copper.
That's correct. Irish legend says it is at the end of the rainbow. Elizabeth.
Gold.
Correct. A silver bullet is said to be necessary to kill what? Ian.
Vampire.
Incorrect. Which of the 3 is used, that's gold, silver, or bronze, is used in photography, though its use has declined due to digitals? Katie.
Silver.
Correct. The decade in which gold was discovered in California? RJ.
40s.
Be more specific, please.
1840s.
Correct. Crude oil or petroleum is sometimes called by what? Alexis.
Black gold.
That's right. The Bronze Age came after which age? Katie.
The Golden Age?
Incorrect. Which of the 3 choices is not a noble metal? Katie.
Bronze.
Correct. All that glitters is not, Katie.
Gold.
Correct. What mythological character had a golden touch? Alexis.
King Midas.
Right. Which of the 3 has the atomic number of 47? The Lone Ranger's horse is named Katie.
Silver.
Right. It is used to preserve baby shoes. Katie.
Bronze.
Right. The oldest method of mining gold, it makes use of water. Ian.
Panning.
Correct. Russia beat Argentina to win which medal in men's basketball in the 2012 Olympics? Okay, the ones we didn't answer correctly or at all. Fairbanks is called the Golden Heart of the North due to the Alaskan gold rush. A werewolf or witch is said to need a silver bullet to kill it. The Stone Age came after the Bronze Age. Silver has the atomic number of 47, and it was the bronze medal that Russia won in 2012. We'll add those points in and come back with our final score in just a moment.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Our final score today is Swansboro 93, White Oak 46. Next time, we'll be finishing up our regular season with matches between Swansboro and Jacksonville, followed by Dixon playing Southwest. So please join us then.